and talk about other things, talk about wider public health benefits. In this particular example, everybody cares about the health benefits, lack of smoking tobacco, whereas only a small handful of researchers around the world care about molecular genetics of that particular plant. Step back, distinguish, differentiate your research from other research, and look at that big picture. That's how you can stand out amongst the 2 or 3 million articles that get published around the world each year. In health sciences alone, 700,000 or 800,000 articles are published each year. So you have to differentiate, you have to stand out. That's how you can generate impact with your research. I will give you in this presentation a number of checklists that you can come back to and have a look at in the future when you put together projects, when you put together impact plans for your publications, and indeed when you write grant applications. Funding agencies love it. They love it when you put these kinds of impact checklists into your funding applications. They can see that you're thinking about what's going to happen during the project, on publication, and on an ongoing basis into the future, how you will connect your impact back to that publication. Talking about your research is absolutely key. As a researcher, building your impact and building your citations. Don't just do what I used to do and publish a paper and then sit back and do nothing. You need to publicize your research. And of course, you'll have favorite ways of talking to colleagues on social media, but are you using networking sites like LinkedIn, like ResearchGate, like academia.edu in particular, for example, to talk to colleagues, to talk to people about your research? Because that's how you build your network. That's how you build your mentorship network. That's how you identify peer reviewers for your future research articles, and that's how you build those citations. Your impact as a researcher is a journey. I give you this figure again from fasttrackimpact.com. You can use this for your next grant application. It's great. It shows that you as a researcher are thinking about what's happening through the process of your projects over time, the inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and of course, those impacts. Researchers engage with the public more than ever before, but most of us have no idea how they're benefiting the people that we interact with. You have to be able to articulate the value of your work with the public to justify funding and demonstrate your impact. And by the way, it's being able to demonstrate the impact of your research papers to editors, to peer reviewers. That's the key for getting them into the high impact journals. Nature, Science, Proceedings of the National Academy, the Lancet, the British Medical Journal. They accept papers that editors think are interesting, that editors think are going to appeal to a broad readership. Why? Because high impact factor journals are more like magazines. They care about readership. They care about selling copy. They care about being interesting to readers. The key to being successful in high impact factor academic journals is thinking about your readers and selling your work in a broad, interesting way to your readers. You can assess your impact. Look at the shares, look at the mentions, look at the clicks, look at the views, look at the downloads, the press coverage, and your citations. As you can see here on this impact checklist from Kudos, another great resource for researchers, for early career researchers, check them out online, is that citation analysis is just at the end of the process. Develop that skill set for storytelling. You can transmit your research in talks, in public presentations, and in your research academic writing by selling a story, by talking about the wider broader relevance of your research to more than just the 5 or 6 people in your own research field who are going to care about it. This is my favorite fantasy fiction writer. This is Terry Pratchett. He invented a universe on the back of a flying tortoise, the Discworld. Maybe you've come across some of these novels in your travels in the past. Terry, bless him, he's dead now, unfortunately, but he said that people like to be told what they already know. They get uncomfortable when you tell them new things. And this, by the way, is another of the secrets to successful academic publishing. Build your stories gradually, one step at a time, making sure that people get to the end of your article and think, I agree, I accept that, that's likely to be correct. I am going to give this paper a favorable review. I'm going to give this paper a favorable comment. This is why, by the way, research is mostly incremental, building on things that people already know. You may already know yourself from your own research that actually large steps forward are much harder to get published in the academic literature. So here's a slide that you may have seen before, but again, let me emphasize that the key to success in academic writing and getting your work into leading international journals is looking at effective titles and abstracts as windows into your paper, because often this is all that academic editors and peer reviewers will read. So how can you make sure that you have the best title possible? Get the fewest words in there, adequately describe the contents, and get people attracted to your work. We have discussed in detail in other webinars how you can do this, how you can maximize your success in academic article writing. So again, get in touch with us, get in touch with the Bentham Science team if you would like recordings of any of this previous webinar content. Go to the Bentham Science YouTube channel. You will find all of this there. Subscribe, like, and have a look at some of our training to help you be effective in your writing and publishing. Make sure your title is compelling. Get people thinking, that's a really interesting article, that's a really interesting question, that's a really interesting story. I want to learn more. Editors, peer reviewers, and readers want to engage with your research because they think that it's interesting. That big picture, that broader perspective, again, that's the key to getting your work published in those leading international journals. Some examples of highly cited recent publications from Bentham Science that do just that, that within their own subject areas are interesting. Authors think, I want to read and learn more. The abstract also, let me say, is critical to being successful, honest and precise, stands alone, no technical jargon, short and specific. And again, the quality of this piece of writing, 200, 250 words, will inform your editor's decision. So take time over your abstract, write those pre-submission inquiries, make sure that you have something that is going to be effective to get your work through the peer review process. If you struggle writing an abstract, you can do it using the 4-question technique shown here on the bottom of this slide. Ask yourself 4 questions, answer them, and then delete the questions. Why did you do the study? What did you do? What did you find? And what did you conclude? It works really well. Think all the time that you're writing a conference abstract. Imagine that this is all that people are going to get to read about your study, because often it is all that people read about your study. We also emphasize the importance of structure in academic writing. And again, you can have a look at the Bentham Science YouTube channel. You can look at the kinds of webinars, the kinds of presentations that we have collaborated to present in the past to help researchers around the world with their writing and publishing. Readers need to know throughout a paper where they've come from, where they are now, and where they're going. A plot is needed. Your next academic paper, as I've tried to demonstrate in this presentation, is a story. Choose your topic, identify your audience, identify your purpose, gather supporting information before you start to write. Make sure you're in the right mindset for academic writing before you get going on your next article. I will send a link in a minute, the Bentham Science YouTube channel. I'll post that in a second into the chat box. But in our presentations, we provide roadmaps for academic publishing, preparing to write, selling yourself, structure, and effective English academic writing. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. My name is Gareth Dyke. We have talked about 3 things in this presentation this afternoon: journal selection, maximizing impact, and being impactful with your title and with your abstract. The point of all of this, as we've talked about already, is to maximize your impact. Be effective as an academic. This is what we hope that we are able to help you with. This is a discount code that you can enter into our diffusionediting.com site if you would like to avail yourself of any of our editing, translation services. Also, I encourage you to have a look at our other training events and check out the journals, the ebooks that are published by Bentham Science Publishers. My name is Gareth Dyke. Once again, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box, or indeed, I will say thank you once again for listening. Everybody who has joined us today will get a link in a few minutes to the video recording of this webinar. Thank you again for listening. I certainly hope it was useful.